You've a little way about you that is very, very dear, a pleasant way that always makes folks glad to have you near, a smile when you arrive, and a sigh when you depart. And that little way about you has endeared you to my heart. This was a plaque that was on my wall when I was little. I don't know if it was in our bathroom or where it was, but I remember seeing it quite a lot. And my grandmother used to say this to us. There was a gentleness about my grandmother. She didn't want to fight everything, even though she had very strong opinions and was highly educated and read everything she got her hands on. My mom used to say when someone put my grandmother down for being disabled or being elderly, she'd say, watch how you talk to her because she's forgotten more than you'll ever know. I thought that was funny. When I told my grandmother that I had been to Bible camp and I started to say things about being born again or whatever kick I was on at the time, she quietly handed me a book called Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. She also handed me a bunch of other literature and said, let me know when you get caught up. And at the time, I didn't really know what she meant. I was so gung-ho. But of course, I learned pretty quickly. So this thing about being endeared to someone's heart, there's a way in which we cannot possibly please even half the people we wish to connect with. And our goal, of course, is not to please, but rather to connect. And connecting deeply keeps us from being impossibly lonely. Loneliness is a problem for people with Parkinson's or any chronic illness. It's a big problem. In fact, it's a health risk. I dare say that I've been way too lonely too often, and I've done things that, will change that. And only I can consider how to change it or why I'm lonely. Most of it's my fault. I tend to isolate when I don't feel well. Because who wants to be a burden? Who wants to ask people for help? Help me, I feel so helpless. I feel so powerless already. This disease is kicking my ass. I'm at a point in this process where I'm dealing with slipped discs, bulging discs, whatever. My back is just not right at this moment. I'm seeing some surgeons and others who, epidurals, the whole thing. I've tried everything. Now, this, in addition to Parkinson's, is a lot. It keeps me from walking sometimes. And then other days, if I take the right combination of medications, I can move around great for a couple of hours. So in those couple of hours, I try to get myself out of the apartment, to walk along and breathe air and talk with other humans. And I'm usually really excited about it. I'm coming down the street and people are like, what is this? Like, what does she want? Because I'll be like, hey, how you doing today? I'm so happy. Like, I'm walking. Look, Mom, no hands. I feel like my kids, and they were like, look, Mom, look, Mom. It's just, I want to kiss babies and pet every dog. And, I've got a real skip in my step. And people tend to look at me like I'm absolutely bonkers because for a few hours, maybe I am. Sometimes it doesn't happen until nighttime, like around 10 o'clock, I'll come on. I'm all dressed up and nowhere to go. What happens most often is that I feel a sense of manic energy and a shakiness from within when the meds hit all at once. The carbidopa or the agonists that I take will rush in. And then I drop off pretty quickly, like within an hour or two. But I never know when. This itself is anxiety producing, of course, because if we can't make plans or know, then how can we possibly do anything with friends? Therefore, the isolation. Especially friends who are highly type A, scheduled, have an idea of how things should go and will go, very controlled environments. I'm the absolute opposite. I have no control whatsoever over my environment or my body. I'm going to say this again. I don't have control over my own body. My brain sends signals that do not reach. I'm not capable of making a schedule with someone. So it's a frustrating experience for people who are organized in that way. The people whom I spend the most time with, people I spend, probably 90% of my time with, are people who just show up and are open to anything and are super flexible. I cannot tell you what a gift this has been to me. I need you if you are flexible. I've also been dismissed and had people say, yeah, I can't do this. And I understand that. I do. I have not been there for some people who I don't have the energy for. And that's not an indication or a reflection of how I feel about them. That's about my capacity. Therefore, I cannot take it personally when people tell me what their capacity is. And if you really want to focus on non-duality, maybe think of it like I'm suffering, and I know I'm not alone in this because samsara, it is universal. Everyone suffers. And they share their suffering with me and I can see it. How can I judge and scrutinize and hold everybody else accountable for how I think things should be when I'm not carrying and dealing with what they are? That wouldn't be fair. And speaking of fairness, nothing is. But I can certainly make it a lot worse by judging and focusing on what everybody else is doing instead of minding my own biz. I got a lot of biz to take care of myself. That doesn't mean that I'm not in service or that I'm not paying attention or that I don't care. I'm really tired of the phrase that, excuse my Germanic or whatever, French, I guess you said, I don't give a fuck. I'm really tired of that phrase. I do give a fuck. Just not about things in the material world that don't matter. I can't take any of that stuff with me. Even my body, my skin, everything must go. Like the sales. Everything must go sale. We're having a fire sale. You know, that's how it works. I can't cling or hold on to anything. Can you? Let me know how that goes for you. I'd be curious to hear about that. And all my expectations have been destroyed. And that's a good thing. I've been crushed so many times that my heart's broken open. And there's nothing that someone could say or do to me that could be as bad as what I've done to myself. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not talking about children or people outside of me who I love. I'm talking about just my own personal responsibility, which is probably the only thing that I would say there's a modicum of agency over. So, that's my dominion. That's the only place I might have a smidge of control is how I respond. That might be a choice sometimes. When coping mechanisms are gone and you are at your worst, you can't be held to the highest standards. When you are in extreme pain or whatever, and you're lashing out and you're just kind of, screaming at the lifeguard, help, do this, do that, Make sure that people know after the fact that you're not barking orders at them. You're actually in trauma, fear, or pain. There's a difference. What people think of themselves is often how they'll respond to us, like to me. Like what I think of you doesn't matter, but what I think of me when I'm responding to you matters very much. Which is why the ego has no place in some of this. Not to say ego's bad. We need it. It protects us, and it has ways in which it scans the horizon for threats. But it can be a little too fine-tuned, the volume's up a bit too much. And Parkinson's comes with suspicion. Eventually, I don't care who you are, the medications we take lead us to a place of suspicion. So check your thoughts and then check them again and again, and use that simple process of, is this really true? And is this really necessary for me to ruminate on this? Break those cycles, those pathways you have, those habits you have of ruminating and obsessing whenever possible. It will be beneficial to all. And this has been a public service announcement from me to you. And remember, Smithers is not brain surgery. Actually, it goes like this. It's not rocket science. Hand me that ice cream scoop. It's just brain surgery. I knew I'd screw that one up. I won't quote The Simpsons again. But let's just say this. We are so small. Nothing that I'm doing today is so important that I can't screw it up. And I will. I'm human. But damn it, Smithers, it's not rocket science, it's brain surgery. Hand me that ice cream scoop. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.